Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
What if I told you that one of China's most fearless racers has a side so irresistibly adorable, it could melt even the coldest heart? Today, on Update X24H, we take you to Zhuhai Circuit, where Wang Yibo's pure, puppy-like joy stole the show, and maybe even your heart. On an October afternoon in 2024, the Zhuhai Circuit pulsed with the kind of energy only a true championship race can create. The engines had just fallen silent, replaced by the roar of an electrified crowd. For those who had followed every twist, turn, and tense moment of the competition, this was the climax they had been waiting for. Wang Yibo and his teammate, Adderly, had just crossed the finish line ahead of the rest, claiming a hard-earned victory that would be remembered not only for its competitive brilliance, but for the humanity it revealed. The win was official, the result undeniable, but it was the moments immediately after the announcement that drew everyone in. As the applause swelled and cameras jostled for position, Yibo stepped forward onto the podium, not with the rigid composure of a competitor who had simply done his job, but with the lightness of someone genuinely overwhelmed by joy. His smile was wide and unguarded, the kind that doesn't need to be rehearsed or polished for the public. It came from somewhere deeper, the kind of smile born from months of dedication, early mornings, grueling training sessions, and the quiet resilience it takes to keep believing when the odds are uncertain. In that moment, the sharp edges of competition seemed to soften. The Yibo standing before the crowd wasn't the razor-focused racer they had seen just minutes earlier, leaning into every curve at blistering speed. This was a different side of him entirely, open, warm, and almost boyish in his delight. His eyes caught the light, reflecting not just the victory, but an unspoken gratitude to the people who had supported him along the way. It was a look that seemed to say, "We did this together," inviting everyone watching to share in the triumph. Then, as if to seal the connection, he lifted his hand in a quick, playful V sign towards the cameras. Simple as it was, the gesture rippled through the crowd, an unspoken message that victory is always sweeter when it's shared. What made the moment so striking was how unscripted it felt. In an age where public figures are often measured, cautious, and endlessly media-trained, here was a glimpse of something rare, pure, unfiltered happiness. It wasn't calculated for headlines or curated for social media. It was real. For those in the stands, the memory of that smile would stay with them long after the podium had been cleared. And for those watching through screens miles away, the video carried the same emotional weight. It was proof that even in the high-pressure world of professional racing, there is still space for humanity to shine through. At Zhuhai, Wang Yibo didn't just win a race. He offered a reminder of why moments like these matter. They remind us that passion, when pursued wholeheartedly, doesn't just lead to victory. It creates joy powerful enough to be felt by everyone who witnesses it. The moment the applause reached its peak, Wang Yibo's eyes shifted toward the crowd, and something subtle yet powerful happened. Without hesitation, he lifted his hand and formed a simple V sign toward the cameras. It was such a small act, so brief in movement, yet it carried an unmistakable weight. That gesture was not just a signal of victory. It was a bridge between him and every single person watching. In the stands, fans erupted with a renewed wave of cheers, as if the sign was a personal acknowledgement of their support. Through screens around the world, those who couldn't be there felt an instant connection, as though Yibo had looked straight into the lens and into their hearts. This was the kind of communication that required no translation, no language, no explanation, just pure emotion universally understood. The beauty of that gesture lay in its authenticity. It wasn't the stiff, rehearsed wave of a public figure following a script. It was spontaneous, instinctive, and deeply personal. The V could have simply stood for victory, but in that moment, it seemed to mean so much more. It was a thank you, a celebration, and a promise all in one. For longtime fans, it recalled past moments where Yibo had reached out to his supporters, moments when his success felt like a shared achievement. For newcomers seeing him for the first time, It was an immediate introduction to the warmth behind the racer's intense exterior. What made the scene unforgettable was the rare angle from which it was captured. The camera didn't just frame his face. It caught every nuance. The way his smile widened as the crowd's cheers grew louder, the glint in his eyes that revealed a mix of excitement and gratitude, the slight tilt of his head that made the gesture feel even more personal. It was intimate without being staged, as if the viewer had been invited into a private exchange between Yibo and the people who believed in him. In the high-speed world of motorsport, where milliseconds and mechanical precision dominate the headlines, such moments are precious. They remind us that behind the helmets, the fireproof suits, and the technical strategies, there is a human being capable of reaching out beyond the barriers of the track. That single V sign transformed the victory from an athletic achievement into an emotional memory, one that belonged not just to the man on the podium but to everyone who had cheered, hoped, and dreamed alongside him. Even as the podium ceremony continued, and the cameras shifted to the next shot, the image lingered in the minds of those who saw it. It was proof that sometimes, it is not the size of the action that matters, but the sincerity with which it is given. In Zhuhai that day, Wang Yibo's hand gesture said what words never could, that this was not just his win, but theirs as well. On the track, Wang Yibo is a figure of precision and intensity, a man whose every movement is calculated to claim the smallest advantage, whose focus sharpens to a single point as the world blurs around him. It is the side of him most often seen by the public, the fearless competitor, the professional who commands his machine with unshakable control. Yet in the moments after the race at Zhuhai, another side emerged, one that perhaps reveals even more about who he truly is. The fierce determination that had defined the last laps melted away, replaced by an openness that felt almost childlike in its purity. His laughter was unrestrained, his posture relaxed, and in his expression there was no trace of the guarded distance that fame so often demands. He seemed, in those moments, not the global celebrity or the champion racer, but a young man reveling in the simple, unfiltered joy of doing something he loves. This contrast is what draws people in and holds their attention. It is easy to admire someone for their skill, for their ability to perform under immense pressure. But to see that same person step away from the tension of competition and reveal something so human, vulnerability wrapped in happiness, is to feel a deeper connection. Yibo's presence off the track carried none of the intimidating edge of the racer mid-turn. Instead, it radiated warmth. There was an ease in the way he interacted with those around him, a readiness to share the moment rather than hold it tightly for himself. That generosity of spirit is as much a part of his identity as his speed or his technical mastery. It is rare to witness both extremes in such close proximity. The unyielding focus that drives a man to win, and the light-hearted charm that makes him approachable even at the height of his success. Together, they form a portrait of someone not defined solely by his victories, but by the way he carries them with humility, with gratitude, and with an unshakable sense of joy. In Zhuhai, Wang Yibo was more than a racer. He was a reminder that greatness is not only measured in trophies, but in the way one's spirit shines when the race is over. What makes this even more special is how timeless it feels. The video surfaced months later, in August, right after Yibo's practice in Shanghai, yet the energy was still fresh. Watching it now, you can almost hear the crowd, feel the buzz in the air, and share in that rush of shared joy. For his fans, it's proof that their idol isn't just a name in headlines. He's a person who celebrates not for himself alone, but for everyone who believes in him. Maybe this is why such moments become unforgettable. A smile like that doesn't just mark victory. It tells a story of dedication, passion, and gratitude. It's the smile of someone who's not afraid to push to the limit, yet still pauses to thank the people who've been cheering all along. It's a reminder that joy, when shared, becomes so much bigger. And here's something you didn't see in the original clip. Behind the podium, Yibo reportedly took a few moments to greet track staff, sharing high fives and quick chats. A small but genuine act that left everyone grinning. That's the kind of energy that keeps people talking long after the engine's cool. Maybe that's why this isn't just a racing highlight. It's a human highlight. The kind you replay not to study technique, but to feel something real. Wang Yibo's victory at Zhuhai will be remembered not just for the checkered flag, but for the pure, puppy-like joy that followed. If this moment made you smile, imagine how many more are waiting to be discovered. Speech balloon, tell us in the comments. What's your favorite side of Wang Yibo? The fearless racer, or the adorable young man off the track? And don't forget to subscribe to Update X24H, hit that bell icon, and join our community for more inspiring moments from your favorite stars. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned, because the next story might just make your heart race.